Today, joining me in the garden is Riley Coy with the Oklahoma Forestry Services. And Riley, things are heating up, and I know I'm not the only one that wants to hide in the shade this time of year, but is now the best time to be planting trees?
Absolutely. No, I'm feeling it too. It's pretty blazing right now. Unfortunately, no, now is not the best time to be planting trees. You're going to really want to look for anything below 80 degrees to have the highest chance for success.
Okay.
Can you get away with planting it right now? If you do everything properly and really baby that tree, yeah, you can get away with it. It's been done. But your chances for success go way down at this time of year.
Okay, and I've kind of heard a rule of thumb is you can plant a tree in any month that has the letter R. Is that so you're leaving out May, June, July, August?
Yeah.
Is that a good one?
That's
okay.
exactly right.
So those 4 summer months, let's avoid planting trees basically because of the temperatures.
Absolutely.
Is it affecting the upper growth, or is it the root establishment? Like, what is it that's really just...
Well, you got to look at layers of stress on a plant, any plant, not just trees. Whenever you're sticking it in the ground, it's got to go through that transplant shock. If you add oppressive heat or dryness or water holding capacity in clay soils on top of all of that, then that's just a recipe for failure, honestly.
Right. Okay, so it's just undue stress that's added to it.
You just want to take away some of those layers of stress, and planting in the right time of year is just going to not add that major layer of stress that can mean the difference between success or failure.
Okay, so maybe when we get into September, that has an R in the month, we can start thinking about going and purchasing trees and getting them in the ground. Now, I know there's always been a little bit of debate about how to properly plant a tree. Can you clear up some of those myths? Do we amend the soil? Do we stake? Do we cage it? Let's talk about, once we're putting it in the ground, what do we need to do?
There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but just kind of the rules of thumb, do not amend the soil. Put the tree directly from the pot into the soil. Go ahead and check the roots. Make sure there's no gurgling roots. Make sure your hole is 2 times wider. Plant the tree high. It won't die, as we always say. So you want the root ball to be a little bit above grade. That way you can anticipate the sinking of the tree as the macropores in the soil deflate.
Resettle, yeah.
Right. So the tree will settle. Really, that's all you got to do. You just stick it in the ground and let the tree do the rest.
Okay.
If you make that hole really, really desirable, then the roots aren't going to escape that hole. They're just going to circle around in that hole. So that's what happens when people try to amend the soil as they're planting a tree.
Okay.
You kind of want to treat the tree a little bit badly so that it's forced to get out there and establish itself.
Right.
That's going to make the tree more resilient and more likely to have a long-lasting life.
Okay, and I know you said make the hole 2 times as wide as the diameter. I think that's a critical thing, because I think a lot of times we think the roots go down, but on trees they're going out, right?
Absolutely. Most of the trees are going to be in the top 18 inches of soil, and they're going to be at least as big, usually bigger than the canopy of the tree that you see above ground.
Okay.
So they're not a mirror image of each other like I was taught in grade school. It's more like a lollipop sitting on top of a plate.
Okay, all right. Good to know. And then a staking or caging, and we've got deer in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. Caging is, for some species, is really, really necessary, especially depending on where you're at. The further west you go, the more important this is.
Okay.
Staking, there's a lot of debate between staking, whether you should do it, whether you shouldn't. In Oklahoma, we experience really strong winds. So it's a smart idea to stake your trees in Oklahoma. If they're really protected in a forested area or heavily treed area, it might not be necessary to stake your tree. You're just going to have to use your judgment on that.
Okay, but the stakes are not there to hold the tree up, right? They're there to support it through those heavy winds.
Correct. You want the tree to have some sway to it so it can develop the taper down at the base of the tree. Okay. That's what's going to give you a strong tree in the future.
I always say it's like abs on a tree, right?
Yeah, it's like abs, or like the quads on a tree, you know? You want those to develop and get strong. If you've got those stakes pulled tight, that tree has no sway. It's not using those muscles, so it's not going to develop that taper.
Right, and so when you do take those stakes off, then it might just snap the next time.
It's just going to be floppy, right?
Okay, and checking our stakes, can we talk about that too? Because I think that's always important as well. Making sure that, how long can we go with our stakes on our tree?
Yeah, go out there and, maybe once a year. You're really only going to need your stakes on for probably the first 2 to 3 years. But after that 2nd year mark, go out there, give that tree a little shake, pull it back, see if it snaps back on its own. If it can snap back on its own, if you can give it quite an extreme bend and it goes back with no problem, take those stakes off. It doesn't need it anymore.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll remember all of this information come September. Thank you so much, Riley.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.